His laughter still echoes in my ears, a deep, mocking roar that bounced off the marble walls of his mansion while the entire family watched me like I was some stray dog he dragged in. "How does it feel to be useless, son?" he asked, his whiskey glass trembling with amusement. I didn't flinch. I just looked at him calm, maybe too calm. "Feels great," I said, "since I just stopped investing in your company." And just like that, his smile snapped off his face. But before we get there, you need to know why I let that moment happen the way it did. There was a time I thought of him as a mentor, a man whose approval could pave my future, whose wisdom could sharpen me. I married his daughter with love, not money, and because of her, I tolerated him longer than any sane man should. He treated me like an accessory, a polite nod at dinners, a forced smile at family events, a pat on the back the way one pats a loyal but dumb dog. I ignored it. Love teaches you to swallow humiliation in small doses, until one day, the dose becomes poison. It was a Tuesday afternoon, a meeting I wasn't supposed to attend. I walked into his office because I'd left my watch in the boardroom earlier. I wish I hadn't. He sat with two of his directors, sipping tea, talking freely because they thought the room was empty. My daughter should have married someone with a spine. He thinks he's an investor. He's a joke. Give him a bone and he wags. Laughter followed. My name, my marriage, my dignity, all tossed onto the table like scrap. I didn't walk out. I stood behind the half-closed door and let their laughter carve something into me. Not anger, not sorrow, clarity. That's when the shift happened. My pain froze into silence. Silence shaped itself into a plan. He had no idea that the useless son-in-law controlled 30% of his company's liquidity through silent investment channels. He had no idea because I never intended for him to know until the moment he needed to know. For 3 months, I prepared. I hired auditors who answered only to me. I traced every debt he'd hidden from his own board. I watched how much of the company's stability relied on my capital. Then I did what any calm, vengeful man would do. I created a controlled collapse. Quietly, legally, perfectly timed. I shifted my funds into a new venture, under a different umbrella, one he knew nothing about, one his daughter, my wife, quietly co-founded with me once she finally saw her father's true face. She didn't need much convincing. She had heard him degrade me too, but she thought it was just his way. Turns out his way had a cost. It began with liquidity withdrawal, small at first, a few million here, a few million there. Nothing alarming. Then came the chain reaction. Suppliers tightened credit terms, banks reevaluated risk scores, shares dipped a little, then more. Meanwhile, I continued showing up to family dinners, smiling, playing the role of the harmless husband who didn't understand the alphabet of business. He thought he was cowering over me. He never realized he was already sinking. The day his company hit the critical point, I scheduled a family gathering for good news. He loved gatherings. He loved audiences. He never understood that this time, the audience was for me. He lifted his glass and addressed everyone, his children, relatives, business partners. That was his stage, his arena, and he lived for moments he could belittle someone publicly. "Look at him," he said, pointing at me. "A man who contributes nothing. How does it feel to be useless, son?" His laughter rolled across the hall. I let him finish. I let silence settle. Then I said, "Feels great, since I just stopped investing in your company." The room froze. He blinked. "Invest? What investment?" He had no idea. He never bothered to learn. I pulled out a single sheet of paper and slid it across the table. A legal notification. Official withdrawal, final. He snatched it, scanned it, and paled. His brother whispered, This will destroy the company." A cousin murmured, "The banks will pull out." Someone else gasped. He looked at me with the face I had waited months to see. Fear. Real, unfiltered fear. You wouldn't." His voice cracked. "I already did." He collapsed back into his chair. The room stared at him. The mighty man, brought down not by force, but by the silence he underestimated. Within 48 hours, shares plummeted. Within a week, the board demanded his resignation. Within a month, his position, his pride, his kingdom, gone. My wife and I, we built our own company. Quiet, clean, independent. He tried to call. I didn't answer. Not out of spite, but because his words no longer mattered. I think about his question sometimes. How does it feel to be useless? And every time, I smile, because the truth is simple. I was never useless. I was patient, and patient men are the most dangerous.